Guys, we have a 12-team Superflex PPR 1.75 for the tight end start 10. Scott, are you going the 109 and the 110 or the 105? Go ahead, man.
Ooh. All right. So start 10. I easily identify the 105 as the best asset. So I think it just comes down to what else can I do with those picks without knowing exactly how I would tier the rookies even now. We've done a bunch of mock drafts. People have asked in the questions about how do you value these picks. I still think it's up in the air. And looking back at the last just 5 classes, just go back and look at, in this type of format, the players you could get at the 109 or 110 compared to what was the consensus 105. You would take the 2 shots every time, especially if you have an active league where if you hit on a player at 109 that you may not like, but others do, there's always some flip value too. So this isn't a spot where I'm like, man, I really want to consolidate to move up to here. 10, what would you say, Shane? 103 or higher? Would you do 103 instead of 105? Knowing you have the locked in shot at a quarterback or the wide receiver 1 if you want it.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, we're just putting, oranges to oranges, apples to grapes or whatever, assuming that my team's in decent shape. Yeah, I would prefer the 103, right? Yes. Okay, 105, 105 doesn't get me there. I'll just take the one. What was it? What was the other offer? 19 and 110?
Yeah, 19, 110 or the 105.
Yeah. Give me those. Because in a class like this, I'm probably going to be able to get 2 running backs that I don't want to say are just as good as the running back at 105, but might be. Just might be.
Well, according to Shane in the private comments, I'm a black screen. I can't even show up on screen. So if I am, in fact, not even visible, then just let me know.
No, apparently it's just
Scott shaking his head. He's like,
I've seen Clay the whole time, so I don't know if
literally just me.
Shane's just blacked out Clay or what.
I would have hoped that you would have mentioned something too, Scott. It's like, no, we'll just let the guy in the middle be freaking blacked out. Let's go to Alex's strategy question of the week. Good to see you. Good to see your dog. Do you guys prefer snake style or auction drafts? Can you do an episode on auction strategy episode for newcomers? The answer to that second part is yes. We will definitely do that. Scott, do you prefer snake or auction?
We're talking like startups here, or
we're talking startups.
Honestly, I haven't done a snake startup this year. I would pick auction if that was what I had to choose. If I had to choose right now, you're doing a startup tonight, it would be an auction. Problem with auctions is to do them right, you have to have a lot of time on your hands. I would prefer a live auction where we're all in a room and it's just one player at a time or multiple players at a time. I mean, anybody that's done those on Sleeper, we've done a couple where it's one player at a time. So you better budget, what, Shane, 5 hours? If you're going to do it all. I mean, you got, and there's going to be a lot of players where you're just hitting the pass button. You know what I mean? But that's the way to do it. A slow auction is okay. We've done some slow auctions too. I'll go fast auction, snake, and then slow auction just brings slow auctions. As much as I love auction drafts, you got to commit like 10 days to a slow auction, and it's a grind. And there's nothing worse than you start building your team. You think you have 3 or 4 players locked down, and then you get wiped of all of them. And it's like, I'm starting over. It's Tuesday and I'm starting over again on Wednesday on where I'm building my team. And it's a grind. You got to really, but a snake startup's a grind too. So I'll go fast auction. It would be my preferred.
Fast auction. Yeah. Fast auction's fun. I like fast auction, but I always prefer snake. I feel like there's more trading. Maybe it's just my little simple pea brain. I think trading is more straightforward. It's more understandable. And it is all part of strategy, right? But like, it's funny because you'll make a trade at the beginning of an auction and then someone will make a trade at the end of the auction, middle of the auction, and the values have completely changed. Like you'll sell a future first for $50 or vice. You'll sell it for $100. By the time the middle of the draft rolls around, people are selling them for 50, or you bought one for 100 and now you could have bought it for 50. I mean, that part's fun, but I do prefer snake. Just like I said, it's just simpler for me. So that's why I prefer it.
Shane, let me ask you this. In a snake startup, though, if you're going to do one, do you feel like you have to be like around your phone, being willing to grind the trades you send out this startup pick. You know what I mean? Like it feels like in a snake, if you just sit back and make your pick, there's 2 or 3 people in the draft that have wheeled and dealed, and you're like, damn, they've done a lot of the things that I wanted to do and I didn't do it. Like you're jealous of the 3 tankers that have gotten all the future picks, right? And then you're jealous of the teams that have gotten all the guys they wanted, and here's just you over in the corner. You've made all your picks and you're like, oh, my team is decent, but I don't really have the leverage to go extreme in one direction or the other. I got to have the stomach for a snake startup. I can't do like, we have some of our subs that do like 2 or 3 at a time. It's just like the grind for that is just insane.
So I like Snake 2 best, I guess, if I had to choose, just again for the ease and stuff like that, and because I don't think I've ever finished an auction in my life. I always miss half of them. Those teams are my rebuild teams. But also auctions, if somebody doesn't know how to auction or a few people don't, there can be some trash ass teams right off the bat to where people are screwed. So it's just garbage teams and it just sucks playing from behind. And then if it gets orphaned, then that team sucks. You get the idea. It's easier, more straightforward early on, especially if you're doing the snake. But I love auctions. I mean, they're fun. What I
say, I do like mixing it up, right? I'm in a few auctions. I'm in an auction best ball draft right now, best ball startup draft. And it's fine. The more you do them, it's one of those things like you almost have to be in practice, right? Like if you just randomly do one a year, it almost feels like, oh, that's not enough. Like it feels like if I do a couple a year, like I can get into the practice of it. Obviously not at the same time, preferably like back to back or something like that.
So with auctions, I guess what I try to do, or at least what I think about at first, is how much am I going to spend on a quarterback? Am I going to go elite quarterback? In which case, what am I spending? $350, $400, and then that determines thereafter. Just as a general starting thought. What about you, Scott? Do you do any prep going into auctions at all?
The reason I like auctions is because I usually am more extreme on the roster construction that I want to go after. And it's just easier to do in auctions in terms of getting, the backup quarterbacks or, certain tight ends in certain ranges where I think, okay, I'm going to flex a bunch of tight ends because it's a 2 PPR. Like it feels like auction, I have more control of building my team that way. Whereas a snake, sure, you can still do it, but let's say I'm in a snake draft and there's a bunch of other people from the community in there. Like as soon as I start taking backup quarterbacks, there's going to be a couple other people that are like, oh, I'm going to start doing it too. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they may not have done it or they might have done it, but I don't have the ability to like volume do it before other people see it coming. Whereas in an auction, it's like, okay, I can do it kind of under the radar. Like with a slow auction, I can nominate, the Drew Locks of the world on the first day. You know what I mean?
You do. And
nobody
Scott
else wants them.
Yeah.
Nobody else wants them. And I'm like, well, I'll be willing to pay $2 because, well, that's going to be my roster construction. So you can get that out of the way versus in a snake. It's like, oh, okay. Scott's starting to load up on backup quarterbacks. And then I think it was Orb last year where I had that strategy. And I ended up with like 4 backups. And I'm like, dude, there's a bunch of other people that have done the exact same thing. I thought they should have gone in round 16 and someone took them in like round 12. You know what I mean? And it's just harder to get leverage in a snake unless you're really willing to trade around.
I will say this. Ty brought up a good point and I jumped it on the board and it's almost funny, but it's not like that when you have 40 minutes left on an auction clock and you're like, I really should go to sleep because I've worked tomorrow and I'm tired, but no, I'm going to stay up for 40 minutes to make sure this son of a bitch clears and is on my roster.
100%.
And then if someone redlines you with like 5 minutes to go and it's 12:45 in the morning, you're like, you son of a bitch. I stayed up late just to make sure this dude gets on my roster and you're going to wait till the last 5 minutes.
Or it's a 6-hour clock and you set your alarm to wake up at 1 a.m. so you can make it start at the overnight time. That is the best chance of it clearing.
Yes.
This is Dynasty Rock Bottom. I love it. Tony, thank you very much for your super chat. Tony Perez, he says, you guys are awesome. He's got a 12-team super flex. We're assuming PPR. It is start 10. And when we say start 10, we're talking about how many you start in your roster or in your lineup rather each week not including kicker and defense. So start 8, start 9, those are shallow. You typically want to consolidate all your depth. The deeper formats, start 11, start 12. That's when kind of the rando wide receivers are actually in your starting lineup, along with some other gross players, right, guys? Let's keep going here. So this one's a start 10, kind of middle of the road. Lamar and Purdy at quarterback. Bijan, Gibbs, Achane, Bucky, Monty at running back. Tyreek, Adams, DK, McMillan, Worthy, Cup, and then has Jonnu and Pitts at tight end. 103, 107 in 25. He's got a 26 second and third, no 27 picks. Won the ship. Where do I go now? Well, congrats on the ship. Scott, what are you doing with this team? 12-team Superflex start 10. No tight end premium or anything.
Honestly, guys, if I could build a team, this would almost be the type of team I would build right now because look at the running backs, right? Bucky Irving's my RB4. David Montgomery, where would I ever start him? You know what I mean? Like he's never starting, assuming this is a start 3 receiver league. So I have assets to trade at running back. I have assets. I have the market lockdown on assets that people actually would want at running back in the offseason, Shane. I have like one of the 5 or 6 or 7 that people would actually trade for. I have all of them.
Yeah.
And I have Lamar, and I have the 103, and I have the 107. My receivers are like, I almost feel like, guys, if I just played this league where I just went and bought the Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill types every year, I could do that for like 3 more years and still just win with this team.
Just rinse and repeat.
But I also have at least 2 bullets I can fire from running back. If I want to trade Bijan or Gibbs, or I'd probably trade Gibbs here because I already have Monty. I don't probably want both on a team like this. I don't want to start both when I have this many good players. But I have a bunch of excess value that I can liquidate and just, you can be a little aggressive, but this team has enough where I don't care if you don't have a 27 pick.
Well, let's talk about that, Shane. What are you doing with the 103 and the 107 with this team? Let's look at that specifically. How about Tony?
It's a running back heavy class. I got to go running back. So I almost feel like I don't want to feel like I'm obligated. Obviously I'm not, but
you trade up for Genty here, Shane?
Why not?
Just absolutely hammer the running back market with I have every one of them.
Just absolutely skull fuck every week. Just I can't believe Shane's running. Yeah, skull fuck. That's the new hammer.
No, it's not.
Shane skull fucking me again this week, guys.
When's the merch coming, Clay?
Noted.
Yeah, Bijan, excuse me, Gibbs, a chain, Genty, Bucky. Yes, it's kind of not kind of overkill. It is overkill. So maybe I don't do that, right? Maybe I just keep it in my pants, and at 103, I go, all right, let me just take whichever is running back 2 of this class, or maybe if Tet falls there, I'll just take Tet. 107, I can do whatever I want. I didn't notice there's no tight end premium, right? But maybe I go Warren for the hope of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Positional advantage. You can literally do whatever you want in this league. Yeah, Josh McAtee noting buy Bowers or McBride. All right, right?
Yeah, I was going to say
something like that.
That, or can you buy like a Neighbors or a BTJ or a CD? Would you give that 103? Start with the 103 and that 26 second for CD and see what happens. Just got to play around in that area. Okay.
But I like to the point of Warren or going to buy McBride or Bowers. Where's the one place you don't really have a positional advantage? And I knew Jonnu was great last year. It's Purdy, but tight end. Purdy's good enough. Sure. Let me just get the positional advantage at tight end.
You could also. This might sound real gross. You could also sell Purdy if you could get another asset for him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just roll with, because Lamar will carry any QB2. You know what I mean? If you just have an adequate QB2, Lamar will carry. You have a lot of options. You could upgrade at tight end. You could go buy just any asset in Dynasty. You could go give the 103 plus something and see if it could get the ball rolling on that deal. But just don't.
Yeah.
I would caution this. Don't make 2 trades and all of a sudden you've moved 5 assets for 2 players, because you better be right on those players, or next year you're going, man, this team was stacked. It just fell short Now I don't have a 26 first or a 27 first, and my team is no better than it was today. Like, you're holding the nuts right now. Don't let that vice grip go. Slow play it.
Good stuff there. Love it. So Joe Montana put on here, just followed you on Spotify. How can I review? Apparently with Spotify, you can just leave stars. So leave 5 of them if you would. And on Apple, you could actually write and put stars and whatnot. But
yeah, Apple lets you put like whole ass thesis and stories and novellas. I guess you just Spotify's like, we don't care. Just 1 to 5, bro.
You go to ChatGPT, you say optimize a Apple Pod review around Dynasty Fantasy Football keywords. There's a hint, you can do that. No, but start putting #hammer into the chat. #hammer. I don't think capitalization and stuff matters, but just do it like I did right there. And we're gonna do a merch giveaway here in a bit. #hammer, only one time. Okay. So let's go to a question from the crowd. This was Jalen Ramsey. Good to see you. Kyler or random 26 first? Let's assume you have a third startable QB. Let's come up with an exact room here. Okay, so I guess we don't know which side he has.
So
he's giving Kyler, yeah. He's got Kyler, T-Law, and
I think the answer for me, if you have a semi-elite or elite quarterback, then my QB2, I'm flexible trading the one that I think I can get the best bang for my buck for, because maybe that's Kyler. If you have T-Law as your QB3 and you're like, I'm willing to trade T-Law, nobody's sending you a first. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably going to be something you're going to have to work for. Whereas if you're willing to bet on the other one that you have, I think T-Law is okay to bet on and sell Kyler. I guess is a first enough, Shane?
No,
because I see this and I'm like, okay, you know what? There's some teams where I wish I could just go buy Kyler for a 26 first.
No, I mean, look, I'm disappointed in Kyler. I think that's well known. I'm not happy with what he gave me this year. I expect better of him, especially after how I praised him. What did he finish? QB 11, QB 10, something like that.
Not high enough.
Not high enough. I expected QB 8 or better. So, I'm not feeling great about that, but I'm not giving him for a 26 first. No, bro. And if that's the cost, yeah, I'm going to go buy him. Like, I'm in a position where if I have mid to late firsts, I'll try to ship them off come draft time for Kyler. Because even if he wasn't what I expected, he's still better than, most quarterbacks, right? He's still a top 10 quarterback.
I kind of like Kyler as a buy too, because he's one of these guys that a lot of people shit on him going, oh, he's not as good in the NFL as I think. But like, all that means is there's less ADV on him than others. But like, he's a better bet to finish in the top 10 than many of the other quarterbacks that are just as high or higher than him. And people are worried like, oh, he's going to lose his job. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, is he going to win a Super Bowl? Probably not. But this thought that like this year he was a huge disappointment because he didn't win. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like there is a lot of that with Kyler. And I'm like, did we really expect Arizona to be in the playoffs this year? Like, I know he wasn't great, but to say he's not a great NFL quarterback, it just feels like he's getting some hate for that. And it's hurting his dynasty value.
I think part of it is we expect Josh, you should post that right up, to be honest with you, on Kyler. And then when we say disappointed, right, it's just based off the expectation. I was hoping for a top 5 QB season, right? Because I know he has it in him. I believe in him. I know he has it in him. And if Josh does post that right up, you'll believe it as well. There's a lot of like regression that could take place next year, and that's where we could get to. If QB 10 is the worst he's probably going to be, like, this is probably one of his worst seasons, you can live with that. Like, I traded him today in a league where I have 3 QBs. I had Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, and Kyler. And it's 2.0 tight end premium, so in a PPC league. So I traded him and Jerome Ford for George Kittle and James Cook.
Ooh, I like it.
So, and even that, I was like, oh, I don't know, this might not be enough. You know what I mean? Even if the value, if you put it in a calculator, the points might add up, but it's still super flex and giving up a quarterback. But for all that to say, a singular first, no, that's not getting it done.
I mean, that's kind of the exact situation, right? Like, you had Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts. So the problem is, a lot of times when that's the case, the market sees that and goes,
they're not bailing you out.
We can offer you 70%. And do you take it? Because I know anybody that's watched Shane knows he does not like to have those 3 QBs. He would take anything that would help his lineup more. And so you probably didn't shop around. Did you shop around and try to get a better offer in that Kyler deal? Or were you just like, this is fine in this tight end premium? I'll just take it.
Went back and forth on a couple deals. It's funny. It's the dude that beat me in the finals. But yeah, we just went back and forth on a couple deals over a couple days. And I take a peek. I'm like, can I get a better return from someone? Do I think it's plausible? Like, I'm definitely not a guy that's going to be like, all right, here's my offer. Let me just go DM everybody. Like, can you beat this? I'm not going to do that. I don't have that in me. If I get an offer and I'm like, this is a good deal, I'm going to do it.
Good stuff. So we're going to go to 2 hammers. Okay. We're going to go to Josh from the crowd. What are we doing here, Scott? Who's driving, sir? No. So Ethan has a fun rebuild for us. He got us 2 hammers. buymeacoffee.com/trades-in-5. We used to do our streams where it was all hammers answering like these. We don't do that anymore, but we still answer questions over there, and sometimes they make it up on the stream. So here we go. Thank you for yours. Ethan says, fun rebuild here. 12-team Superflex, start 9, PPR. Quarterbacks are Carr, Fields, Minshew. Backups at running back, like the right Garendo types. BTJ, JSN, Ayuk, Rome, and then has Bowers and Hunter Henry at tight ends. 102, 108, 109, 112, and then has the 202, 3, and 9. He's got 326 firsts, his, of course, and then 2 late ones. I don't think making all these picks is helpful, even with such a young roster. Which picks should I keep and what to target? Thinking the 102 and 209 for May, but not sure if that's enough. Okay, so fun rebuild here, Scott. It's a 12-team Superflex, start 9, so very shallow. It is fun. He's got trash at QB, but lots of other assets and picks. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of looking at this like if I had this roster, sure, immediately the QBs stick out as, oh, those are bad. You know what I mean? But I don't know if trading the price it's going to take to get Drake May, which is probably a 102 plus another pick that starts with a 1. Maybe like if I have this many picks, you don't offer the 102 and the 209. Because if the other person looks at your picks, they're going to go, I'm not taking the 209. At minimum, it's like the 202. You know what I mean? So I'm willing to do that if I want to address quarterback. I think in this class, you could also have some fun with this team and go, you know what? I'm not actually going to waste one of my draft picks on a quarterback unless it is one later where if I piss the quarterback pick away and I draft, Jackson Dart at the 202, it doesn't kill me if he doesn't start. You know what I mean? But lean into the fact that you have BTJ, you have JSN, you have Rome, you have Bowers. Like, don't force yourself to, I have to take a QB at 102. You know what I mean? Because if the QB is wrong, and I'm just saying this because this is something that I've noticed already in 2025, is that the quarterback market's very fickle. If there's even a hint of stink on the QB, they become very much, they're still desirable assets, but they're assets that somebody needs to have a need to want them. Otherwise, they're not really an asset where people go, oh yeah, that's still a quarterback. I'll give at least a first for. You know what I mean? They don't feel like the same type of assets that they were in years past. So I'm probably just not taking quarterback here. I'm going to play 2025. Like, you know what? Let me go as gross as possible at QB. I bet you can buy another quarterback for, can I get a running back and Kirk Cousins for the 209? Something like that, where yes. I'm just playing the absolute bottom of the barrel, but maybe I look up at the middle of the season and I have everything except for quarterback. You know what I mean? And my team's looking up, and then I have a need where if I know I need a quarterback right now, I'll go get it. But I'm probably doing what NFL teams should do. If you don't believe in the QB prospects, just take best player available. The quarterback market will soften at some point. You'll be able to get one.
Yeah, I kind of like that strategy from NFL teams of just building it out. And then, like you said, not just taking whatever quarterback is there. Like, all right, Matt Corral's there this year, so we got to take him in the first, right? I think that feels like the line of demarcation where the NFL is like, you know what, fuck this, we're not doing this anymore. We're just
and
not.
the NFL won't drop you a top 12, top 15 quarterback in your lap like a dynasty league will, right? You know what I mean? Like you may be able to get a Dak Prescott for cheap at a certain time, and you're not getting that in the NFL. So I think it's even easier to do it in dynasty. Like, do I need to draft Cam Ward with my 102 that I sucked to get? No, I'll just take best player available, and I can always trade for a quarterback unless they become Jaden Daniels. Then I can't probably trade for him. But if it's anything lower, a first is always going to get to the table for another QB. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, except for Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, depending on what region of the country you're in, or if you listen to the Athletic Scoop City pod with douchebag McGee, Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? There's very few quarterbacks that at first won't at least start the conversation.
Right. Okay. Let's keep rolling here, because you do have to address that room though. Start 9 Superflex. You're getting skulled at quarterback every week. Okay. Let's go to another strategy question from Alex. Do you guys prefer? We already did that.
We did that one. We're not doing that again. It'd be funny if you do it again and just see if my answer changes. But I don't think it does.
Or see if I ever catch myself throughout the entire paragraph that I had already done it.
Yeah.
I'm on point tonight. Okay, let's go to Scott Landry. It's got a starred one here. This is another 12-team Superflex start 9, so pretty shallow. PPR, there's no tight end premium. Shane, you've got Richardson, Herbert, Stafford, Penix at quarterback. Aaron Jones, Monty, Brooks at running back, Puka, JJ, T, London, Ladd, Marv, and Zay. And that has McBride and Pitts at tight end. Has the 103, 6, 12 in all futures. It says third place last season. What is the move to dominate? I mean, it's right there. Shane, dominate.
It's funny because sometimes, you have to finesse what you want to do, right? You know what I mean? Like you have to use a little finesse. Like, when you go bowling, if you overthrow, it's not good, right? You got to use a little finesse. This is not that. This is just grab a fucking sledgehammer and just beat the wall down, right? What's the one position that's weak? Well, there's 2. Quarterback and running back. Which one can I get? Like, I don't even care which one I can upgrade. Whichever one can I do it? Because you got Puka, JJ, London, Ladd, Marvin Harrison, T, Zay. That's a lot of wide receivers that you can move off of. I'm probably looking at T because I know that the sentiment is high on him. Like, what can I get with T and Ladd? Like, I'm not finessing this, right? Like, there's no reason for me to get all like 3D chess, 4D chess on this. I'm just going to go, what are my assets that are expendable, and how do I upgrade at running back or quarterback or quarterback? I mean, it's pretty simple to me.
Shane, do you think it's easier to upgrade with players in this circumstance? Or do you think it's easier to, like, let's just say, for instance, you're willing to roll with one of, I mean, I don't know about Stafford because he literally could retire. So he's a wild card from a standpoint of, I would roll with him as my QB2 if all my other rosters was just every other starter was a hammer, right? But let's just like eliminate him from the discussion here. Is it easier to roll with or upgrade with players here or picks? Meaning, do I just send like Penix for a first and just do that today and wait until there's maybe a better upgrade deal? Because here's the problem. Like, if I go to somebody and I'm like, okay, you currently have Josh Allen, they have to be in a position to even want Justin Herbert or Michael Penix. Is it easier if I go, here, I'll give you a first? Do you know what I mean? Like,
and in a start 9, it's less likely that Josh Allen would ever come on the board, be available, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
I mean, who's the quarterback upgrade? Because I'm looking at Richardson, Herbert, and Penix going, okay, that could be the
quarterback,
the 3rd or 4th best QB room next year, unless I get one of 3 or 4 guys, which you just said is not available. You know what I mean?
To me, Herbert, T, and a pick, and let me go get Josh Allen, Lamar. I'm not saying that you definitely can, Jalen.
So you'd give 103 T and Herbert for Allen?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's just a flat out send that out and see if I can get it done. But I wonder, could you do it if you got, I'm just trying to think, like, what could you sell Herbert for? Because in the deal, he's not counting for what you probably could sell him for.
And I do like the idea of like selling Penix, right? But you could move that to Herbert too. Like, what can I sell those two for? And you know your league's taste, right? Whether they prefer picks or whether they prefer players for the most part. And if what's going to get it done is a multitude of picks, multiple picks, then yeah, maybe you do flip one of those for another pick. And then you go, well, here you go. Here's 4 first rounders. I know one of them's 112, so it doesn't really count. Here's 4 first rounders for Josh Allen. Tell me no, or Lamar, whoever.
Here's the thing too, though. So Herbert, I'm just wondering if you need to touch the QB room, and I look at Herbert and I see Ladd over there, the wide receiver room. Shane, you were talking about maybe moving Ladd, and Scott, you mentioned, are you getting any credit for Herbert in a deal? What about trading the stack? You trade Herbert and Ladd to someone. Have you ever traded away a stack instead of just protecting your own?
Well, if you give up Herbert, the 103, and what was the other piece, T. Higgins, you're not getting credit for Justin Herbert in the deal. He's a piece, but it's not maximizing what you could sell him probably for by himself. Mm-hmm. The problem is you'd have to have the balls to just sell Justin Herbert today, not knowing that another deal would ever come. You know what I mean? Like, someone offers you a 26 and a 27 first for Herbert, and that's all you get. Most people are going to go, man, my quarterbacks are weak. I'm not going to trade him for that. What I'm saying is, like, I'll just bank the first, and maybe 3 months down the road, some of these assets will change a little bit, and I can throw those picks, or I can bank the 27 first and trade away my 106 instead because I have another first in back order. You know what I mean? Like, I just do it now and worry about making the bigger deal later. That's how I think I would try this versus going to a team and going, okay, I need Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels. Those are the only 3 I want. And you're like, but you need to give me about 50% of that trade value with Justin Herbert. And like, well, I don't, like, what if it's Shane's team, right? He has Lamar and Daniels. He's not, you know how much interest he has in taking any value back in Justin Herbert? Like, none. You know what I mean? He's like, give me JJ and 106 and he's yours. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the type of deal you want to do. And that just feels like what you're going to run into a lot is, like, you're trying to get credit, but then the person trading you the elite quarterback, do they want the Herbert piece back at the price you want to sell it for? I don't know. Just thinking out loud.
Yeah.
No, this team's in a great spot too, because you mentioned just trading Herbert for a 26 and 27 first and just doing it now. And then you're in a great spot because you already have the 103, 106, 112, and look at all the liquidity you have on your roster. So if you're ever in a tight spot, look at those wide receivers. You obviously have a lot of equity at tight end as well. I don't know. This team, Shade wants to take a hammer and smash down the wall, and then whatever Scott and I were talking about respectively. I don't know. Not a hammer against the wall.
It's more eloquent. It's more eloquent. Yeah. It was
a pocket hammer.
Yeah,
like H-hand. Okay.
I wanted to bring up. Oh yeah, Shane's internet runs on Duncan.
Yeah, Shane's internet runs on Duncan. According to Ty.
Look out for a best ball rookie mock draft with myself, Ty, Coach, and Gene. We did that today before I recorded with you fellas.
Nice.
Yeah, good times.
Good stuff. Okay, let's go to. Actually, we're gonna go to another hammer. We got a very, very generous one from Biznatty. / Still RB Dead Zone Smashing. Got us 10 hammers over at buymeacoffee.com. Thank you very much. Very generous. That's $50, and buymeacoffee.com does not take a huge rake. 25% less of a rake than YouTube, actually. Well, almost. So thank you very much. Says, first, thanks for being the best fantasy football show and dynasty content out there. I enjoy all your side projects. Just something special when the 3 of you talk shop. Good stuff there. Agreed.
Appreciate that. Yeah, definitely.
Second is a pay to brag. Good for you. You did that. Had a magical season and went 28-0 with league median and won the championship. Man, went wire to wire. Nice. Part of me just wants to retire, but who am I kidding? That won't happen. So here's his team. And what's great is he said, Shane, no sabotage because you're in this one. It is a 12-team Superflex PPR 2.0 for the tight ends. You have to start 12. So that's very deep. 6 point per passing touchdown. He's got Josh Allen, Goff, and Cousins at quarterback. JT, Aaron Jones, Kamara, Ken Walker. And then at wide receiver, Chase, AJ Brown, Flowers, Pickens, DJ Moore, Godwin, and Leggett. And we're mentioning Leggett types because, again, it's a start 12. And at tight ends, McBride, Kincaid, and Jonnu. He's got a 25 third, 26 second, and third, all 27 picks. Moves. Shane's in it. Let's let Scott start here.
Well, I'm just looking at the roster. I mean, this should be a testament. Shout out to him for going 28-0 and winning the title. I was in a league. A guy went 28-0. He scored 600 more points than everybody else. Lost in the
second round.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep. Had the, I think, 7th highest score in the entire league for the entire season in the semis. And the player he played had like the 4th highest score. So just, I mean, literally had an unstoppable team and lost. But congrats for going 28-0. I'm looking at this roster like it's a good team, but I bet you people in the chat would go like, oh, this team went 28-0. Like it isn't the greatest team they've ever seen. You know what I mean? But it just shows you the power in a start 12 of 2 things.
Ooh.
One, you had Josh Allen, you had Jamar Chase, you had Trey McBride. And then you had, more importantly, Shane, you had Jared Goff was good. But
in a 6 point solid. Yeah.
But
he just looking at his roster on my phone, dude. He does not, in his starting lineup in a start 12, he does not have one like for his starting lineup, just looking like what he could put in there right now. In his bench, he doesn't have one player you look at and go, ugh, I can't believe I got to start this guy. You know what I mean? And then he's got Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, and AJ Brown. So he's got 3 guys that you go, oh, well, those are guys that Allen obviously and Jamar Chase could just win me weeks, and then Trey McBride as well. So it's just
and for people listening to, just real quick, Scott. So Kincaid and Jonnu in a 2.0 tight end premium, those are in the lineup 100%. So those are flexes in that kind of tight end premium. But go ahead, Scott.
Well, no, I think the second thing I was going to say is that in a start 12, when you build your team right, this team captured every Jonnu Smith week. This team got every spike week from Zay Flowers and George Pickens, right? Like they got all of those. In a start 10, you're probably kicking yourself every week deciding between Zay Flowers and George Pickens. You know what I mean? That is a tough decision. So when someone says in a start 9 or start 10, are those guys worth a first? No, not because I don't want both of them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, a start 12, I'm guessing this lineup just set itself. It stayed relatively healthy. But I think more importantly, you had some volatile players. Not only did you have the 3 studs, but you had some volatile players that you just captured every game that they had. Yeah. You know what I mean? You just, I don't have anybody to start, so I'm just going to throw in this guy and this guy. So, I mean, that's the key is you really took advantage of the fact that you had to start some of these guys.
So,
and when they had big weeks, you were unstoppable because you had 3 hammers.
Let's talk about that, though. So in a deep format like this, 12-team Superflex, 2.0 for the tight ends, start 12. If you're going to be that lean, like you said, he ran kind of pure in terms of like not too brutal with injuries. If you're going to run that lean, where do you want to have your equity? You get my question generally.
I think that what I would say is if we could do this season over again, one thing that because we're in a lot of leagues where there's a lot of starters, right? Start 12, start 13. A lot of people, when they build dynasty teams, they will continue to just jam in players that are just not really producing. Do you know what I mean? And in a start 12, like the volatility and the variance is very wide week to week. So if you can find somebody that you can relatively trust in those spots, like it's actually probably better to just go and buy that instead of holding on to like the dynasty value of some of these players. I could live in a start 10 with George Pickens just isn't producing. I'll just bench him and I'll wait till his value goes up and then I'll sell him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Here, he's still in your lineup, but if you knowingly are like, yeah, like Kyle Pitts is a perfect example. I'm in a start 13, 2 PPR. My roster was built around starting 4 tight ends. You know how many times I started Kyle Pitts and I should have just started like this backup running back instead, but I was stubborn. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, if he has a good game, I'm going to be pissed if it's on my bench. But I started him 75% of the year. So I should have probably just gone, okay, he's not producing, move off of him and get somebody that's producing instead of holding. Cause that's just another, if you're in these deep leagues, you probably have to consider moving quicker when things start to emerge.
Yeah. From the opposite perspective of this, I just actually messaged the league. Some of us need to make business decisions and just understand that we're probably not winning next year. Maybe a couple people want to, I don't know, get together and go, you know what? You're closer, but you have picks. Maybe I sell to you. I just know that I'm going to eat the bullet next year, and I'll come back in 2026 stronger. But yeah, we'll see if that works.
Did you say
I don't know what that was?
Did you say eat the bullet?
Yeah, you eat the bullet.
No, you bite it. Shane eats the bullet, just like not.
Eat the bullet, bite the bullet, whatever. Same difference.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Hey, this is good timing. Scott, get ready to fix the overlay for me here. So last chance in the crowd, #hammer. I'm going to run a giveaway tool thing, and we're going to give away a piece of merch. So we have 40 entries. I am about to share my screen. Okay. Haven't done this in a while. Where is it? Let's screw this up, Clay. Okay. #hammer. You can see it here, right? Okay. So 42 entries, 43. I am closing it in 3, 2, 1. All right. Hit and draw. Let's see who's going to win this sucker.
Is it me?
I know it better not be us. Tony Perez. Oh, that makes, hey, fantastic. Give us a super chat. That's what happens. That kind of stuff, right? Congrats, Tony. So I am going to I'm going to switch to my other tab real quick. So I'm going to present this. We have a new merch store that you should check out on Fourth Wall. It's sick. So I'm going to send Tony a link to it. But I mean, go in here and take a peek, boys and girls. Look, we got all these hats. We have these pint glasses. I could live in here, and I did live in here trying to make stuff for you guys. Yeah. No, it's sick. All sorts of different shit on here.
That's for girls.
I love all my hats.
Whoever wants to wear.
You would look great in this like salmon-y kind of color, Shane.
So what is the difference?
What
between
is that
salmon
color?
and pink?
Dusty rose, Shane.
Dusty rose. I love dusty rose.
No, but yeah, the hats, the Richardson hats are especially sick. I love bad trucker hats. I wish I could give mine to someone.
Drink cups.
Yeah. Isn't this nice? Yeah. Like the little whiskey glasses. Okay, so I'm gonna stop showing the merch store, although you should check it out. It's gonna be linked in the description and whatnot. And what's his I don't want to call him what's his name. What was his name? Tony Perez. Tony
Perez.
Yeah, give us your we'll get you a link to the merch store. Pick something cool out. Okay. Let's keep rolling here. Let's go to Eli Ryman from the chat. Thank you very much for the super chat. It says he's got and we'll start with Scott here. 10-team start 9 super flex. So very shallow. Hurts, Dak, Penix at quarterback, 0 running backs. Rashee Rice, Garrett Wilson, Leggett, Thielen at wide receiver, Laporta, and Likely at tight end. Picks the 101, 104, 105, 6, 10, and then has the 15th pick and the 18th pick. And he wants to know what to do with them. And he says trade 1 ? Scott, what are you doing? Super shallow format here. Have most of the first round.
Well, the bad news is we're listing like Adam Thielen as one of our best assets, which is not good. The good news is it's a start 9. It's a 10-team start 9. You already have Jalen Hurts and Dak and Rashee Rice and Garrett Wilson and Sam Laporta. So, I mean, you have half a lineup there. You know, it's not the greatest team in the league, but you have 4 or 5 starters. And Shane, is there a better class than just go, hey, maybe I'll just draft like 5 running backs and hope 2 of them are good? You know what I mean? Like, sure, I would trade the 101 for Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan, but I don't think this team is as far away as you think to where I'm desperate to split the 101. Now I'd be willing to trade all the other picks, but I don't know what the market's going to be on the 110. in a 10-team start 9. But I'm probably no running backs with this core. I'm just taking the running back at 101 unless you just get a better trade offer. And we've talked about, I think, a couple weeks ago, like what is, one QB? How many players are you're trading 101 for? I know this is super flex, but I'm not trading the 101 for another quarterback when I have these already. So what is it, Shane? Maybe 6 players you'd trade the 101 for? 8 maybe?
Yeah, I think we did the math the other night, and it wasn't a lot. It was less than 10.
It's here. Give me CD Lamb, and I'll give you the pick, and I'll pair Dak with CD. Like that's the kind of trade I would need to do, and I'm guessing that doesn't exist in your league. You're probably going to be forced to make the 101. I don't know. I might just make all the picks or just play it by ear, but I'm not rushing.
It is nice how he says that there's 0 running backs, and this happens to be potentially a good class for that, and he's got so many firsts. So if he wanted to, he could have a lot of fun and just smash running back and just, again, draft likable liquid assets and be able to trade for your stuff thereafter. Oh, no. He's in a good spot. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun having this team right here. Yeah. Okay. Rock on. Let's keep moving. I feel like I was about to put something in. Oh yeah, I was gonna put Rhonda up on the screen real quick because I saw her in the YouTube comments earlier on I think a short that I posted, and she was like, Deontay Johnson just got waived as she was watching it. She's like, I can't, something like that. I just laughed. It's great.
I don't know if this is true, but I'm just gonna say it. He was actually waived more times than he scored touchdowns this year.
I think that's definitely. Well, how many touchdowns did he score? I don't know. He was waived.
Zero burger, right?
Yeah, he was waived, I believe, 2 times, right? And then he was traded once. He was traded to the Ravens, but then waived by the Ravens and the Texans. So yeah,
in 12 months, he's been traded twice and cut twice.
What's up with DioJohn?
DioJohn is no more. We're going to have to find another person to have a fun name because DioJohn he's a can now. Like if you say DioJohn,
do not. How dare you?
Here's the thing. Like the report was that he threw a fit after the game when the rest of the team was, as they should have been, celebrating because they won, and he was mad that he didn't play.
Yeah,
but to be fair to the guy, like all he's wanted to do in the last 2 teams is just play. That's all. Just play.
No.
Play and catch a lot of footballs.
All he cares about is his own stats. Literally, that's it. Like it's the win.
He just wants to be on the field, Shane. He wants to be on the field. But I think after this, he's had a very public falling out with the league here to where
4 times.
Yeah,
we can't even say like, oh, this time he's gonna get right, dude. He's already done it like 3 times this year. Where like, bruh.
Like if I had a friend that walked out on a job, 3 straight jobs, they'd probably you should tell him, hey, maybe you shouldn't walk out on this next one. Just
maybe a little introspection.
Maybe you're the problem, right? The whole if everyone you meet during the day is an asshole, maybe you're the asshole.
Yeah.
Shane, how much are you dropping on waivers for DioJohn?
Look, I would not be surprised if he never plays it down in the NFL again. And it's not that he's off the field. You don't hear shit about him, but he's apparently a terrible, terrible cancer on the team. So.
He's like wide receiver 90 at this point.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like he hasn't even produced to do this. Like he's got AB levels of just chicanery, and he's got production like I don't know, Joe Jaravicious, except he's not a wide receiver. And that's from 20 years ago. So he doesn't produce. He doesn't produce near enough to do what he's been doing.
I'm going to start crying if we keep talking about DioJohn like this. We're going to go to 5 hammers from BT242 over at buymeacoffee.com/trades-in-5. I want to say he actually is the #1 donator over the course of our site over there. Just saying, rock and roll. I always say thanks for the comments, but just bad. Yeah. Appreciate you. 12-team Superflex PPR start 9 or 10. I like that. League vote pending. 6 point per passing touchdown. He's got Mahomes, T-Law, ARich, Carr. He says running backs are literal dog crap. Rice, Adunze, Waddle, Shaheed, Mims, Hollywood, Christian Watson, and Booty. Hawkinson at tight end, the 109, 4 seconds, and a 26-second. 2 pending offers and 2 questions. Give ARich and Waddle, get Herbert and Rashad White. What do you guys think about that one? Scott, at first you were shaking your head and then you kind of, bobbed it back. Whatever. What do you think?
I think I would rather keep Richardson and just gamble. But I would like to try to get another quarterback that's better than what I already have. But I don't think quarterback is the biggest need for the team. That's the thing. Like sometimes with these teams that they have a desperate need at quarterback, go back to his roster, go back to the first page. Like he's got Mahomes and T-Law. You know what I mean? Like, why do I want to get back Justin Herbert as well? I'd rather trade one of the other quarterbacks that are ahead of him and ride with Richardson and just gamble that I can get enough out of Mahomes specifically. Can Mahomes and Richardson win me a league? It could.
Good.
But I'm not giving up Jalen Waddle, who's probably my, third or fourth best asset outside of the quarterbacks, for another quarterback. You know what I mean? Now I have Mahomes, T-Law, and Herbert in a start. Hopefully it's a start 10. I don't know why you would vote and pick a start 9. But anyway, it's a fair deal, but it's not it's not how I want to use the Richardson and Waddle asset. Now, if you can turn around and then trade a quarterback that people actually like, not name Anthony Richardson, then sure. But it feels like you're going to do that deal, and then someone's going to go, here, I like Justin Herbert. I'll give you Jalen Waddle in a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the offer you're getting. So I don't know, Shane, what do you think? I'm not trying to trade for another quarterback here. It feels like I need to do something different.
I mean, it's fair. It just doesn't move the needle a lot for me. Like I think I would. I know, look, this is probably a foolhardy adventure, but I think I'd rather just take the risk that ARich is going to pop. No, I don't like that. I don't like this deal.
Okay, let's say you do it.
I don't like either side.
He comes to us with the roster up. He has Herbert, Mahomes, and T-Law.
Yeah.
What do you do now? And you just moved Waddle, so your starting receiver core is Rice, and then you're down to Adunze, Shaheed, Mims, and Hollywood Brown. Christian Watson, I mean, he's probably cooked for next year. He's not an asset at all. So it's like, now what? Now what are you willing to move Herbert or T-Law for? And what if the best offer is, a random receiver? You know what I mean? Like, doesn't it feel like you just went backwards?
Yeah. I mean, it's really like a lateral move. It really is. It is. I will say this. I guess it's buying cheap on Herbert, since the even though he threw 406 interceptions this past weekend, none of those were his fault, by the way.
It's getting rid of the toxic Richardson asset too. That's probably what he's feeling like. Man, I really want to get rid of this guy.
6 point per
The sentiment around Herbert makes it feel like you're getting a good deal for him there, right? So even if I didn't believe in Herbert there, maybe I make that deal, and then like if I really want to upgrade my quarterback, then can I then use Herbert and something else to even upgrade further?
Yeah. Did you say 2 pending offers and 2 questions? And was there only... Okay, there was another banner here. Okay. Are Mims, Hollywood, Watson, Booty enough to replace Waddle's production in the aggregate? They might all suck, but they also have enough value to not be cut, but not enough value to get anything. So they're kind of, they're not waivers, but yeah, go ahead, Scott.
Listen, there's no point in having these types of players on the roster unless you have a spot to maybe use them. So getting rid of Waddle does clear out probably at least a flex spot that you have to start one of these guys, right? Like it's not the end of the world to have to start one of them. Watson, no, because his knee is shredded and it happened in week 17 or week 18. So I don't even count him, but the other 3, sure. But this is
so involved. He's so involved. I'd be fine with flexing him, right?
We're getting more into this is how you're building your team, right? You're willing to go gross at receiver. So in that case, you've really built up your quarterback room. But that's why I asked Shane, what is the plan? Do you know what I mean? Now I have T-Law, Mahomes, and Lawrence. What's the plan from there? Because if it's to then panic after 2 weeks because Marvin Mims and Hollywood Brown haven't had a spike week yet, you just went backwards on the strategy that you built around the entire season. I don't hate it. I don't hate, especially if I have a guy like Rashee Rice that could be a top 10 producer. I don't hate having some gross, I have to play this guy and hopefully I capture all of his good games. It's just you have to have a plan. A lot of people don't stick with that plan. Someone looks at their team and goes, oh, you're getting killed at receiver. You need to trade T-Law for, pick a random top 24 receiver, people go, oh, just trade T-Law for him. They'd give T-Law for Terry McLaurin. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you didn't come out ahead if you did that. You played scared after your first trade that you made with the Herbert deal.
So we'll hit this last hammer while we're in this folder. And because you mentioned roster construction, and that was kind of a conversation around this. I didn't have enough characters to put his name in, but Jeff over at Buy Me a Coffee got us, let me make sure. He got us 3 hammers. Thank you very much. So he says, won the ship in year 1. That's awesome. Says, thanks for the show. Open my eyes to roster construction. Is this the type of team you would just run back and see how the season goes, then make moves, or sell old pieces now? 12-team Superflex PPR, it's 2.0 for the tight ends, and it looks like there's also some point per first down action. Start 10 total, so 12 by 10. Burrow, Baker, T-Law, and backups at quarterback. Running backs are CMC, Derrick Henry, Connor, Mixon. That has Amon-Ra, BTJ, Rome, Keenan, Ridley. Kelsey and Freiermuth at tight end with Hunter Henry as well. Has my 25 first. Well, he has his. An extra 26 first and second, and an extra 27 first. So that is the whole thing. The question again was, is this the team that you're going to run it back, kind of go see how the season's going, make moves, sell old pieces now? What are you doing here?
What can you sell in this team, Shane? That's less valuable or more valuable to the market than to you next year running it back. Because I think a lot of these pieces you would just immediately cross off. Ridley, Keenan Allen, Kelsey, Hunter Henry, James Conner, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon. I just named 80 of your starters probably. You put them on the block and it's like you're going to sell for 50%, you know?
The only thing, not the only thing, I don't mean it sound like that, but what people are going to want off your roster is BTJ, ARSB, and some will still want Rome.
Would you liquidate anybody? Would you move like a Joe Mixon or a James Conner if you could get like a second and a third next year, something like that? Like one of those moves you could be willing to just liquidate for some extra capital, you know, just one.
Yep. Just one. No need to get all what's the word I'm looking for? Like cut into the bone. You don't need to move 4 of them or 3 of them.
Would you move Rome for a first on this team? If you get if you get a first and like one of those players that was mentioned in the previous one where you get back like a free Marvin Mims or something like that. You know what I mean? Would you do that?
Yeah, Marvin Mims doesn't even count. I don't give a shit.
First and a third.
You just already had Marvin Mims is a third. Like they are the same picture.
Right. I'm saying, would you take back a first and a third? Because here's the thing, it's a start 10. Mm-hmm. You go to set your lineup. If you went to set your lineup today, you're not starting Rome Odunze, right? 3, 4, probably not.
5, 6, 7.
It's 2.0 for tight ends.
I'm starting Pat Freiermuth or Hunter Henry over Rome Odunze in a 2 PPR. I think the point is you have to be able to move something. I don't want a team that has 16 startable players just running it back when I have enough to win. I have enough picks. I have my firsts. Like this feels like a team you can sell a little bit and just say, okay, I took a second for Keenan Allen and I just walked away. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or a move at quarterback where you might tear down from T-Law Baker. One, I guess not Burrow, hopefully, but little tear down and get an asset.
Baker or Burrow are the guys that are primed for the regression. You know, they're 40 touchdown pocket passers, right?
Quick question. Would you do this right now? Would you send your, 12 team, your 112, would you spam the league for their 26 first right now?
Yes.
Always and forever.
Jeff, do it if you haven't already. Okay.
I do the 27 first. Give me 27 first for my 112. It's yours. We gone.
I know. I get it. I get the data and that you're probably right. Just time value of money. Like I can't do that.
Hit me up in I think it's OG League. I have the 112 among other picks.
Clay ain't gonna move his 27 first now. Watch.
No, what it is in Squirt, I don't. You just won. No. You beat me in the channel.
No. In OG, I got the 101, 2, 4, 7, 8, and 12. So yeah, I'll move the 112 for a 27 first right now. 26 I prefer, but 27 too. Yeah, it's not even about.
Do I have my 27 first, and you're gonna give me the 112? You said.
Yeah, And chasing breakers, it's not even about the hype of the 27 class. I know me and Scott joke about this all the time.
Scott seemed like he's panic making moves here because he's in that league too. No, 27 first or the 112. Interesting. Crowd,
Again,
what do you think there?
I think it is entirely about you've already heard people saying, "Oh, the 127 is, it's Jeremiah Smith, it's Ryan Williams."
Right.
What are the odds you're going to get those guys? Low.
1 in 12.
The thought that this could be a class where, and you probably haven't heard it as loud, but there are a lot of people out there that are kind of saying the 26 firsts are going to be bad. You know what I mean? Like we hear this every year, but it feels like a 27 first now. I think I'm with Shane because that roster, I don't need to make that decision on the 112. Let me just park it until later, even if I have to wait a year for that first to really be desirable. I'm doing it. That's fine. Ask for a third back. A third can buy you,
always ask for the third.
Why not?
I'm the one that's got to wait 2 years to make a pick. We don't even know.
No. I'm saying you're getting a third and the 27 first for your 112.
Send it over, Clay. It's a deal.
Ooh.
Well, okay.
Clay's gonna ask for the third now. Watch.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask for the third.
All right. Anybody in
send it over with a third.
No, anybody in OG League, send me a 27 first, and you can have the 112.
I
want a 27 first and any third in the next 2 years, and you can have it. Go.
I think I have the 114 in that as well. Okay. I'm going to put up a question here. It's 9:33. We've got 200 eyeballs on the dot watching. Thanks so much. They've already hit the like. And do us a favor, go on to Spotify and give us a 5-star review if you'd be so kind. And the Apple Pod, same thing. Apparently you can actually write nice stuff about us too and be very keyword heavy with Dynasty Fantasy Football. No, but we'd appreciate that review. Hit the like. If you're still here 1 hour and 1 minute in and you're not subscribed, I think we should just put a ring on it. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. But let's keep moving on with the Dynasty content. So Drew Sorensen Music says, Chase Brown, buy, sell. Yes. Is he the player with the most variable value in Dynasty right now? What do you think?
You go, Shane. I've talked a lot about Chase Brown. I'll go after you.
No, I don't. I'm not really concerned about his value at all, to be quite honest with you. I think they'll add someone to that room. Well, obviously, because they have to, right? Khalil Herbert. But I think we also don't want Chase Brown getting the workload that he got over the second half over a full season, because then I think he would not last. Because is it him or Spears that's missing cartilage in their knee? Spears, isn't it?
Spears, okay, yeah.
Never mind. All right, well then maybe he can, but I doubt it. I would probably sell him only because what round pick was he? Third, fourth? I mean, fundamentally, religiously, I am opposed to running backs, right? And outside of the big boys, I don't want to pay a lot for them. And if I can get overpaid for someone like Brown, I'll probably move him. Like, can I get another running back in a first? And that's all I need. And I'm willing to move him. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll just consistently do that. Rinse, wash, and repeat. Whichever, wash, rinse, and repeat. Whatever way you do it, I don't know.
I'll give you your choice of the RB 4 or 5 in this class. Are you doing that?
I just did the mock draft. Let me think about this.
So Superflex, I'll give you the 109.
Caleb. I can get more.
And I think that's Shane nailed. If you can get a first and another running back, like I don't even care what name it is. Almost every running back can go. You know what I mean? At the same time, like Chase Brown's on a great team. He showed he's a great player. You could probably take his workload and take 40% off of it. You'd still be like, wow, he's still scoring 13.5 points per game, right? And that doesn't even include the games where he can hit big plays. I don't know if anybody know he had LASIK surgery this past offseason. Yeah. Because the first year they go, he's blind, he can't catch. And then now Burrow's like, he catches everything. So, I mean, like, he's probably more in line for the type of touches you would want. He doesn't need every touch. You know what I mean? Like, I can definitely see him being the guy where you go, he would fit very well with a lot of the running backs in this class where, he does some of the stuff that score more fantasy points. So I think he's almost a bulletproof asset in terms of he's going to be good. But you're betting on, okay, the value he could return is the value of, like, how do I lose on not selling Chase Brown, Shane? Like, if he's part of a committee on a good team.
Not sell?
Yeah, it's if he just like completely gets ethered, right? Like he gets injured and then someone else is just even better and then he's cooked.
Right. Well, I mean, there is the fact that, look, they signed Zach Moss to be, I don't know what you call them, the 1A or the starter there, however you want to phrase it. And they can say all the nice shit they want to after the fact. And even, or in the offseason. I don't give a fuck if you blow some smoke up someone's ass about how great this player is when you specifically sign someone at their position to give them a big role. It just so happens Zach Moss unfortunately got like a career type ending injury. So if that doesn't happen, what's the split, right? What if they get a running back in there that's, I don't know, better than Zach Moss, like a legit running back? They get one in the 3rd round.
They will take one. I will say they only have
one.
They only have 6 draft picks.
Right.
They have a lot of holes. So the thought that they're going to be one of the teams, I mean, you see them in mock drafts, people mocking them like a running back in the 2nd round. It's not going to happen. They're going to take a running back. It's probably going to be, some random running back in round 4, and people are going to talk themselves into whoever that is, because whoever that is going to have opportunity. You know what I mean? They're going to be the default RB2 on a good team. But that doesn't mean they're just better than Chase Brown. So the odds that we just look up on draft day and he's just been replaced, I think is extremely low. So it just comes down to what you can get. If you told me I want to re-roll and get another guy in this class instead, perfectly fine with that.
Look, I got my face kicked in on expecting Kyron Williams to get ethered, or not ethered, but at least a significant chunk ripped out of his production profile. So that I'm a little scarred by that, right? Because there is the other side of the coin is that, despite the Bengals trying not to give Chase Brown a big workload and not giving him an opportunity where he could show, when he got in there, dude was one of the best running backs in football.
There's a lot of the same arguments, right? Like, why will people say Chase Brown will get replaced? Because he's a little smaller and didn't have draft capital, right?
Yeah.
And it's just the narrative is there's no way he can get that same workload until they take the field week 1, and guess what? He's getting the same workload, and you're
he's freaking smashing. Yeah. Yep. Here, let's put this up right here, and then I'm going to create. I've already got one. We've been getting live hammers. It's easy enough to create the banners, but let me put this one up for you. A little bit of a different question from Flonzo says, "Do you guys have experience in increasing league size fairly? Currently in a 10-team league, and there is interest in expanding to a 12-team, but not sure how we could go about it." Scott, thoughts there real quick?
I've done leagues where we've contracted, which is also an interesting thing because you start putting assets into the rookie draft and it changes the values of picks. I like the idea of going from a 10 to 12 team. I think you'd have to have what would you say, Shane? Where would be the cutoff where you'd have to make people dump everybody else into the pool? Would you let people keep 10 players?
Yeah.
8 players? Because if you do that, then, you are starting at the bottom of the dispersal pool, you know what I mean? But I don't want to blow people up and make them give up half their team.
So that's the problem, right? So some people have built the team. Like some people are like fucking ecstatic, like cool, like a reload draft. What do you call those when your team's ass? So you're just like, sure, we get the re-roll at least, whatever. That's
second chance.
There you go. Thank you.
Dispersal.
There's some people in that league. I'm guessing at least, I don't know, probably 50 to 60% of the people in that league have built that team up, and they're like, wait, now I can only protect 10. And then when you do
with
that,
4 hammers is fine keeping just 4. The team with 10 good starters is like, we have to keep 10. You know what I mean?
And then even then, like if every team can protect 10, it's 120 starters that are already off the board, right? So like there's no happy medium. You know what I mean? There's no happy medium. Because what can I say? You can keep 3? Because then again, no, I built this team. This isn't, you know what I mean? Like I think you have to start over. I think you just find 2 new people and start in. Well, obviously,
what if you did 10, but then you let the people that took over the teams play for free for at least 2 years?
You could,
because I might even take on one of those. That might be kind of fun to try. You know what I mean? But I'd need at least like a 2-year head start to where I don't have to pay for obviously a team that's going to suck. It's like taking over a really bad orphan that you can't fill. You know what I mean? Like you'll give them free buy-ins.
kind of like a vampire league, right? Like you start off as are you the vampire when you steal players, but your team is ass because you can only build through, I think, the waiver wire, and everyone else gets to draft or something like that.
Could you lock those teams in definitely with the first 2 picks too next year? Just already say like they get the first 2 picks next year, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. They each get a pick, 2 picks or 1.
No, they get the top 2 picks in each round. So
Yeah,
like they're locked into the 101, 102, regardless of their potential points or whatever. They get the first pick in the next year's draft.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that. I'd rather let people keep more players and finagle some of the settings and rules to where the managers are motivated to build their team up versus just say, okay, everybody has to keep 4 and then the rest of your teams are gone. Then you might as well start over at that point.
I think that's cool because with the new owners too, the idea of giving them the picks with new owners, they're going to be all pumped up. The league's all pumped up. It creates like this frenzy right off the bat with those picks.
I might take one of those teams. You give me a couple years for free and you give me the guaranteed 101 and I get to just dumpster dive for 2 years. I mean,
that sounds like
it's like a pig in shit, man. You know what I mean? I'm just dumpster diving for 2 years and I have no pressure to win or nothing. Let's go. All
right, so we got 3 hammers from Garrett. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. This is a 12-team Superflex PPR start 11. Caleb, Kyler, Penix at quarterback. Running back, trash cans. JJ, Chase, CD, Adunze, Pearsall, Diggs at wide receiver. McBride and Kraft at tight end. Has the 104, 5, 7. Then has the 204, 206. Has 326 first. Closing out of a 2-year rebuild, says it's a mid to high activity league. Should he smash running back in the draft? Try to buy another hammer? What do you think? It's 12 by 11, so reasonably deep here, Scott. What are you doing? What do you? Let's go with Shane. What are you laughing about?
Give this one to Shane.
I couldn't remember who is next.
It was Shane.
JJ, Chase, CD, McBride.
That's what you were doing that right.
I mean, do whatever you want. Like, this is literally like, I don't care like what you're into. Just do it. If it makes you happy, sure. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if there's a wrong answer. I don't know that I want to add hammer because you already have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll say 4 of them. You know, you have 4 hammers in a start 11. I'm not great with math, but that's more than like 25%, 30%.
It's almost a third. Yeah.
There you go.
If I see this roster, I'm not trading you a hammer running back for a fair price either. You know,
right? Like the one thing you need too. Like, no, fuck you. You go make these draft picks. Hopefully they all miss. You know, hopefully you're that guy. Do not take a quarterback because they fell. You know what I mean? Don't. Oh no.
You never know, Shane. You never. No. I'm just saying you've aligned this perfectly. A team that has no running backs and it's a class where you have a bunch of picks and future firsts. Like, have fun, let it rip.
I wouldn't mind, and I think Ricardo put it in there, right? Tier draft picks up to 101. I don't know if I even need to do that, but I would like to get to at least 103. You know what I mean? What do I need to get to the 103? Not that if I could hold on to the 104, great. If I could do 105 and 206 to get to the 103, just to guarantee myself at worst the RB3 of the class, which it probably won't be. It probably end up being the RB2 at worst. So that's what I think. I would like to slide up at least one more draft pick if I could. And if you can't, fine. Then strengthen numbers, right? You need running backs. So I'm okay with taking more than a couple of them.
Good stuff. Okay, so I just said put #can singular in the chat, #can, and we'll get that started running. We are going to give out a free peer-to-peer roster review. So this is a good time to mention the roster reviews. We are, we're getting a lot of inquiries. It's that time of year. Roster review at dynastytradesin5.com. Send us a message. We'll give you the details on the reviews. Scott will be in there with you 45 minutes to an hour, just beating your lineup to death, being brutally honest. We also have Ty Declare. We're going to have Ty on the stream joining me, I guess, a week from yesterday or something, but he does awesome peer-to-peer reviews. We put our brand behind him every day of the week. He's very, very busy over on DD Fantasy. Absolute stud. Good guy. So ask about our peer-to-peer roster reviews as well. We had a lot of success with them. Ty has a lot of fun doing it. So put in the hashtag can, but email rosterreview@dynastytradesin5.com. This is when we start getting busy. This isn't me being salesy. This is just being honest. Okay. Ricardo says, if I win, give it to someone else. All right, good man. Yeah, a little pay it forward action there. Yeah, so hashtag can singular. We're going to do another question. Armando, 3 hammers. Thank you very much. 12-team Superflex, half PPR, start 10. No tight end premium here. Scott, your turn. Stroud, Nix. Okay, Stroud and Nix at quarterback. Henry, Kyron, Aaron Jones, Dowdle at running back. AJ Brown, Sutton, DK, Cup, Mooney, and then has Kittle, Laporta, Jonnu, and Henry at tight end. No 25 first.
As soon as you read those 4 tight ends, I scrolled right back up. Man, does that say 2 PPR? I'm like, hell yeah, no, never mind. No tight end.
I know, right? Oof. Yeah, no 25 first, mid to high activity league. Says came in second this year and couldn't sell out of the sell out of the aging vets. I wasn't starting since my league has a trade deadline. Boo. At a high level, what are your thoughts on 25 strategy with this team? Okay, Scott, there it is right there. 12 by 10, half PPR, no tight end premium. So pretty shallow.
I mean, your quarterbacks are fine. Sure, I could upgrade, but I think it's going to be difficult. We don't necessarily have a ton of assets to throw around here that's probably going to upgrade at QB. Running backs, I mean, I can see why you couldn't trade any of those guys. It is what it is. It's this running back market. Receivers, it's funny how we list Cortland Sutton clearly ahead of all the others now. It's just a year ago, he would have been right on the fringe of the cans range. You know what I mean? And now it's like he's firmly like a wide receiver 2. Receivers are fine. Like, could you upgrade? Yeah, I mean, this is a tough team because every position is good, not great. But you probably thought you could win with this team and didn't trade anything until it was too late. So now you're stuck with the team that you had last year. I mean, what's the tight end market like? Because right now I'm looking at, man, I'm kind of forced to start at least a tight end in the flex, if not 2. And I don't want to in this format, but I hate choosing between Sam Laporta and George Kittle every week. And then Jonnu Smith outscores both half the weeks. You know what I mean? Like, that's a nightmare of a problem. So what can you liquidate one of those guys to? You'd have to sell probably Laporta. He's the one you might be able to sell because he's young.
Exactly.
And I get a first and just walk away. And the fact that you just use Jonnu and Kittle until, you need to get somebody else down the road. But I don't know what else you can really sell here, Shane. Feels like it's a
tough team. You have to free up some of that equity.
You got to sell from what other people want, which is not a lot of stuff on your team. So I don't know. What do you think, Shane?
It's AJ Brown, Nix, and Kyron, and Laporta, and Kittle. So there's like 4 things you could sell if you wanted to. Again, I mean, it's, and we're going to keep repeating ourselves, right? Of course, you want to sell what you don't want because that's how it goes. Or
the stuff that nobody wants in the offseason. Right. You don't feel good with it all, but no one else feels good trading for Cortland Sutton right now. You know what I mean?
You go to a garage sale, you're generally not going to find like the best shit there, right? You know what I mean? Like, they're not putting out their new TV. They're putting out the old one that's trying to get rid of. So that's kind of like,
it's just a huge paperweight.
Dude, that's a great analogy though, because I go to garage sales, I go to flea markets every once in a while, but when you find something of really good value, when you need it. This team doesn't have any needs. This team needs better stuff. It doesn't need a TV. It needs a better TV. You know what I mean? It doesn't need like a bike. It needs a better bike. And that's just hard to find better stuff when you're shopping in the bargain bin. That's a great analogy. I love it. Well done, Shane.
Now I want to go to a garage sale or a flea market. Hey,
I do as well.
In Mobile?
I don't know. But you know what you should do, Shane? Set yourself up for success. Come to Mobile with needs.
Yes.
Like, but don't bring any like underwear. And you might be able to find some at a garage sale.
That's not a problem.
Okay, yeah, definitely buy that at a garage sale. That's what you want there, bro.
Good stuff. Okay, so we are almost done. We are 9 minutes in. Just let's do hashtag can. That's the last time I'm going to mention it. I'm about to run this giveaway. #can. This is a free peer-to-peer roster review. This is very valuable. Okay, #can. Let's go to the screen here. Scott, have you help me out? All right, share the screen. Giveaway tool. All right, 31. You can see it right there. Entries. 3, 2, 1. All right, let's see who's going to win this sucker. All right, so roster review at dynastytradesin5.com for details. But DioJohn gets himself a review. What's up, DioJohn? Very, very deserving here. No doubt about it.
Around forever.
Yes. Congrats on that. You're in good hands with Ty. Probably no Ty, but fantastic. Okay, let's keep moving. So stop sharing. Scott, you will help me out. All right, let's go to another question from the crowd. Let's go to the earliest one that I've got. Or okay, from Alex. How do we approach off-season trades? What type of deals are we looking to make? I ask because I made a terrible trade of Burrow and Zay in return for Herbert and Ayuk last year, looking for a wide receiver upgrade. So now I feel reticent to make deals that aren't in season. But on the flip side, that rules out the chance to make solid trades that boost the roster out of season. So how do you approach off-season trades? This is very broad and whatnot, but what came to mind for you here?
I mean, it's a terrible trade because one of the guys you traded for got injured and the other guy didn't. And then one of the quarterbacks that you traded away was way better than the one you got. I mean, it was a 2 for 2, right?
Yeah.
2 for 2, same position, each piece. You just guessed wrong. I mean, that's the danger of kind of speculating in the offseason. You think, but it's also a viable strategy, right? Like if I think there's going to be a narrative or something that I want to chase, I'm okay making deals like this. And I think this type of trade is why you kind of always are searching for the leverage, right? Like if I lose this deal, if I also got a second thrown in, I don't feel as bad about it. You know what I mean? I feel like I can get closer to the Zay Flowers loss for Ayuk with a second. The Burrow and Herbert, I mean, that was a big swing, but that would also be one where, you know, hell, I'd be willing to go and sell Burrow for Herbert plus again. You know what I mean? Like it's not the end of the world that deal could work out in your favor if you do it again on the other side. So I think this is where you just made a 2 for 2 bet. You flipped a coin and you lost. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Like Terrell said, you flipped a coin and lost. If you would have got some leverage back, like if I'm doing deals and I think you want to bet me straight up on a player and I know you have this player above this player and you're willing to do a 2 for 2, give me a second. That'll motivate me to do it. I don't think this changed. This was just a bad deal. I don't know what else to say.
Joe Montana has a question for Shane Manila. 12-team Superflex PPR 1.5 for the tight ends has Mahomes, Lamar, Penix, and then Barkley, Jacobs, Brian Robinson at running back, Nico, London, Rashee Rice, Marv, Garrett, Ayuk at wide receiver, and Joku and Otten at tight end. Has a 203, 207. He says he really likes his wide receivers and quarterbacks. What players can I look to get upgrades on? Okay. I too love that room, that quarterback room.
What do we really need to upgrade? We have Lamar and Mahomes, right? Mahomes came on really strong at the end of the year. Penix is fine. Barkley, Jacobs, assuming you wanted to hold on to those dudes, are very good. Now, I'd suggest you might want to move off of one or both of them, because I would also suggest there's probably a less than zero chance that more than zero chance that they're going to get injured. One of them is going to get injured next year because, well, they're running backs, and Barkley specifically, knock on wood, and I don't want this to happen, is going to be coming off like a 400 touch season between the playoffs and the regular season. I guess you could upgrade. Like, can I, dude, could I put Marv and Garrett together and get an actual like chase type player? Well, not type player, because there's literally like 3 of those. Could I do that? If I could do that, sure, I'll do something like that. But outside of that, like I said, I'm probably looking to move Barkley or Jacobs, and it's not even really about specifically upgrading my roster, more than mitigating some of the risk.
why don't we go to the teams that are looking at quarterbacks in this draft and see if they like Penix better than they like drafting one?
Right.
Like this is a team where to upgrade. A lot of times you don't just go to the best players in the league and go, okay, I'll give you this, this, and this, and you just give me that asset. You may have to go, okay, I can afford to trade away Penix on this team and just get the 106, 107. You know what I mean? If I can just get a pick that people are a little scared they might not get a quarterback for Penix, I'll bank that 106. Then I go, okay, can I liquidate one of Jacobs or Barkley? You're not going to like the price, but someone say, man, I'll give you a 26 first for Barkley. That's all you get. You may not want to do it, but the point is you make other deals without thinking the trade has to be, I'll give you Penix, Barkley, and this, and you give me a hammer. You know what I mean? Like those deals just don't happen. As dynasty managers get smarter, I bet you there's not many teams in your league that have Justin Jefferson that are going, hey, if you just give me Michael Penix and Josh Jacobs in a couple seconds, I'm willing to trade him. It's like, yeah, sure, I'll move you. I'll give you Justin Jefferson, but I need Drake London and, I need Drake London and Mahomes, and I'll give you a first and Jefferson. Like it's not a deal that moves your team forward. It just swaps out players for players, kind of like the last trade we talked about. So liquidate from your strength.
Yeah.
And you have a receiver core, you have a running back room that if you had to take the field with that running back room next year, yes, it's risky, but it's probably top 3 in the league. And then you have some pieces. I would just be trying to liquidate from my strength and then go to the table with more flexibility this offseason. It's a long offseason, people. It's 8 more months until we even have another game.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no rush to get things done now unless the trade is an absolute smash. Right.
Yeah, that was something too, is at first we were kind of like trying to figure out what to do. You don't have to do anything. But I thought that was really sharp. The Penix, like who needs a quarterback who doesn't like the 25 class and would prefer to have Penix. That's
well, I've heard it a lot. Like, would you
yeah.
prefer Penix or Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders? And I think a lot of people are like, I kind of like the rookies better, but that's easy to say until you're the one having to make the pick. You know what I mean? Like if you're about to use the 104 on Shedeur Sanders on the Raiders or whatever it is, someone's willing to give me Penix, maybe I'll do, you know what I mean? Like think about the class that way. You have excess. Where will there be a need somewhere else? And don't worry about having to fix everything in one trade.
No doubt. We are done, fellas, but don't leave the video just yet. I do want to remind everyone, so we are on Spotify and Apple Pod, which is very exciting. Do us a favor, leave us a 5-star review over there. Really helps us grow. It's so fun kind of trying to grow a podcast now too. And go Spotify. Apple Pod sucks compared to it. But anyway, RosterReview at DynastyTradesIn5.com. Definitely email that. People do try to lock up spots like near the rookie drafts and whatnot. So RosterReview at DynastyTradesIn5.com. We have the peer-to-peer option with Ty. Get you some merch. There's a link in the description, also under me. And yeah, we love you guys and gals. Appreciate you every Tuesday. We are here with 200 people who have already hit that like. Scott, would you like to say goodnight?
Good night. Good stream. Fun times. Again, just a reminder, it's a long off season. A lot of good questions, but a lot of because I have a bunch of teams. I need to really sit down and go through each team and figure out a individual strategy. It's tough when you have 50 rosters, but sometimes you look at your team and you're like, what can I do today, right now? And there's some leagues, there's just not much you can do. And then others there is. So just slow play it. And I think that's the theme for me tonight was you don't have to accomplish everything, even from a roster construction standpoint, in one trade. The upgrade, the tier down, it doesn't all have to be one move gets it all done, because the hardest thing is finding another manager that is willing to do the exact type of trade that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Not the value, but hey, I'm looking to turn this. I mean, you guys have seen it, not to belabor it that long, but somebody will say, I have these 3 players. I'm looking to break them up into 3 different assets. You see that in our chats every once in a while.
So specific. What are the odds? Yeah.
And I appreciate the specificity, but then I'm like, yeah, but I don't think many people are sending you the offers you want. That's the 3 assets. You know what I mean? It's almost like you have to send out the offer and be willing to take that versus putting that type of thing in the chat, because it just doesn't feel like that ever gets done. So that's it.
Shane, would you like to say goodnight to the crowd?
Good night to the crowd.
There we go. That'll work. All right. We will see you next time. Be on the lookout. Oh, and hit the notification bell while you're in the YouTube machine. Be on the lookout for the tight end show, part 3 of our 2025 plan. That might be late tomorrow. Our young editor is sick. He says he has the flu. I'd like to think that he's just been raving and just getting hammered for a week, and he's just like struggle bunny right now. But yeah, be on the lookout for that show tomorrow or the next day. Cheers.